Hi, I'm Jenny, and today I want to talk to you about finding your niche in private practice. So, if you've taken any little mini workshops or anything about starting your own private practice, you've probably heard something about finding your niche. There's a lot of schools of thought. A lot of people, like myself, will tell you you really need to find your sweet spot, figure out the populations that you just love to work with. Think about those favorite clients, those favorite clinical issues that really get you excited, that keep you interested, and that are life giving to you. There are some people who think that you really need to be a generalist, otherwise, you won't attract other people. And I will tell you that in my experience, that is a big fat myth. So I am definitely in the camp of figuring out your sweet spot. It's not that you can't work with other things, and it's not that you can't change that sweet spot as you continue in practice. So let's start by talking about how you figure out what is my sweet spot? What are those things that I just love to work with? When you're starting in practice, maybe you're just getting into internship, maybe you're just recently graduated from your graduate program and starting to figure out where do I want to fit in the field. I it's harder to narrow down what you really like working with at that point. And so a good guide at that point is to consider who are the clients that you have really enjoyed working with and see if you can find similarities between those clients. Now, sometimes that might be tricky. Sometimes it might really boil down to certain personality traits that you enjoy. For example, I have found that some things I really enjoy working with for clients are clients who have a good sense of humor and enjoy bringing laughter into our sessions. Clients who like to be sarcastic and authentic about their stuff. Clients who are more comfortable sharing the hard stuff and just go there instead of doing a lot of small talk or needing a lot of, um, I guess, working up to talking about what they actually came in for. Those are some little things that I figured out for myself tend to make clinical work a little more enjoyable for me. Um, when it comes to thinking about issues, sometimes they can seem really different, and it's okay to have multiple niches that might feel really contradictory. Early in my career, one of my specialty areas was working with men dealing with sex addiction and kind of compulsive sexual behaviors. I also work a fair amount with children and doing play therapy and that kind of thing. Now, hearing that, you might think, boy, can you get any more opposing, like opposite type clients? Well, what I figured out for me is that the intersection, like kind of the common thread between those two, was dealing with brokenness and just being wounded and really needing nurturing. And that sounds kind of weird when you think of like someone dealing with sex addiction. But I can tell you from my experience with these men, they are some of the most broken men that you'd be shocked. You'd be shocked at how much weeping has happened on my couch for men who come in for behaviors that other people think are kind of repugnant. They think, well, they might be kind of narcissistic or whatever, but those who come really wanting to work on it really have this kind of wounded bird presence in the office that draws me into desiring to nurture them. And I love seeing them grow through that. And some of that shows up for me, obviously, working with kids as well. Some of the areas of child work that I really enjoy are working with kids who are impacted by painful things in their life, whether it's like painful adjustments, like dealing with parental divorce, those kind of things. For me, I started thinking, okay, I could like working with kids, but I narrowed it down a little more because I realized I didn't love the super challenging behavioral stuff. What I really loved is the kids who just need um, reassurance, the kids who need to work through just current issues and maybe on a smaller scale, but are still really eager to be there, eager to do the work. So you think about maybe think of like 5 clients that you've really loved working with and try to figure out what are some of those factors, even if they don't seem like in themselves they would define a niche. Like, well, can I really target a niche of people who have a good sense of humor? Well, I would say yes, you can. You just then have to get creative about how you're going to attract that particular niche. And some of it just ties into being authentic to who you are. I think a lot of us are naturally attracted to people who are like us. You know, it's a basic psychological principle, right? Like, I like people who have a more laid back approach. And that's how I tend to show up as a therapist in the office. That's part of kind of my vision for this channel is leaning into an authentic private practice, meaning that it's in line with who you are as a therapist, and the kind of experience you want your clients to have. Well, I value a laid back approach. I value people with a sense of humor. And the way that I creatively market can help to attract those kind of people to me. And leaning into that niche will really help them have the best client experience as well. Because if I came in and I was sarcastic or brought a sense of humor or was too laid back, or even, you know, my blue hair, it might be a big turnoff to someone who really wanted a more straight-laced, serious approach. And I probably am not the best therapist for them, and that's okay. You know, I think it's really good to embrace, you know, yes, we can be chameleons and we can shift and tailor our approach a little bit, tailor um, our gentleness, our directness, those kind of things for the individual sitting in our office. But at the core, we can't change who we are. And the way that we show up as a therapist or as a counselor is going to resonate with the clients who are attracted to us in the first place. So why try to pretend to be something that we're not? Um, so working with clients who are not in your sweet spot, the other downfall, besides it being a little inauthentic and there maybe being less connection, less easy rapport to build, it can really lead to clinician burnout. I don't know if you've ever worked in a setting where you have lots of clients that feel really hard for you. Not to say that they're hard clients, because there are people who have sweet spots that are very opposite of mine. You know, there are people who love working with, you know, really intense cases or really deep trauma, or love doing the behavioral child work that I may have these skills and training to do, but I found I just don't love it. I find it exhausting. And if you're doing work that's exhausting, that's a good sign that you're working outside of your sweet spot. And it really does lead to burnout. You know, if you have a caseload of 20 clients who all, you know, suck the life out of you because they're not a great fit for you, it's going to lead to burnout. It's going to lead to a shorter lifespan for your counseling career. Now, we can't avoid ever having a client that we don't really enjoy, but if you're really leaning into your niche, you're less likely to get as many of them, and you're more likely to get a lot of the clients in your sweet spot. And those kind of clients, that kind of clinical work, can be really life-giving for you as the clinician, as well as having the benefits of being great for the client. So in narrowing down your niche, you might also think about, who are the clients, let's be honest, that you dread seeing on your list. You hope that they will call and cancel. It's a good sign that there's something about that client. Maybe it's just their issue is really intense. Maybe it's, you know, I've heard the opposite. I've heard clinicians who really love the intense cases find basic, you know, bread and butter depression to be boring. So, you know, paying attention to all of those things that make a case feel life-giving or feel life-draining, and try to lean into the ones that really fit for you. So I hope that I've sold you on the importance of leaning into your niche. It makes the client experience more authentic. It will make for easier rapport building with the clients, and it will be more life-giving for you as a clinician and in your clinical work. You know, we'll just do better work all over. In addition, it really doesn't narrow you it doesn't like pigeonhole you into that particular niche. So you can have a niche like, one of my unique ones is like sex addiction. I can market that I work with sex addiction, but it doesn't mean that I don't get couples occasionally. It doesn't mean that I don't still get referrals for kids or for individuals dealing with more of the bread and butter stuff. And personally, I really like a big variety, so that works for me. But it really hasn't shut any doors. It just naturally leads to clients who are better fit finding me easier. So I think it's really important to figure out your sweet spot, spend some time thinking about what yours is, and then try to figure out how to attract those type of clients to yourself. And there's lots of tips on how to attract your niche to you, how to let them know how to find you. And I'll be talking about that in future marketing videos. So I hope this has been helpful. Go out and find your people.